A function may have an absolute maximum or an absolute minimum. It is the y-value of the highest or the lowest point on the graph. Example 4. For each graph of a function y equals f of x below, find the absolute maximum and absolute minimum if they exist. Part A. I want to first look and see if this graph has an absolute highest point. So I go to the top, here's my highest point, 3, 6. So the y-value at this highest point is 6. So that means this graph has an absolute maximum, I'm going to abbreviate abs max, of 6. The lowest point on this graph is 0, 1. So the y-value of this lowest point is 1, which means that this graph has an absolute minimum of 1. Part B. If I put my pencil on the lowest point of this graph, I can see there's an open circle indicated here. That means that this graph is actually not defined at the point 3, 1. So that means this graph actually doesn't start until just above that 1. So it's impossible to identify a lowest point on this graph. So it does not have an absolute min, so no absolute min. And my highest point I can see here is 5, 3. So the y-value here is 3. So that means I have an absolute max of 3. Part C. I look at my graph, I can see the highest point is at 5, 4, and the y-value of that highest point is 4. So that means I have an absolute max of 4. Now if I go to the lowest point on the graph, it's actually this whole horizontal region. All of these points have the same lowest y-value, which is 1. So this graph has an absolute minimum of 1. Part D. If I put my pencil on the lowest point of this graph, I see that its y-value here is 0. So I have an absolute min of 0. Now if I go to the top, the highest point, I see an arrow, which we know indicates this extends infinitely. So it does not have a high point, an absolute highest point. So this graph has no absolute max. Part E, if I go to the highest point on this graph, I can see again there's an arrow indicating this extends infinitely. So there's no highest point. So there's no absolute max. If I put my pencil on the lowest point, I see again there's this open circle, which indicates the graph does not exist at 3, 2. It doesn't start until just above it. So this graph does not have an absolute min either.